Okay, so what I have in front of me is the string that I'm going to use to bead the bracelet, and this string is a little bit longer so that it's easier to tie, but we'll get to that later. And then I also have the beads that I'm going to be using laid out in front of me. So depending on the size of your wrist, you might need between 6 to 9 beads or so. I'm not going to be painting all of the beads because the natural polished wood is so pretty. And you can use whatever colors you like. This project, this bracelet and necklace can be worn by boys or girls, and you could just paint colors on it that you would be proud to wear. And honestly, I suggest that all of you do all of the projects that are in the kits, because even if you don't want the piece of jewelry, this is something that you can gift to a family member or friend. So with that being said, I'm going to start out, I think I'm going to do one bead purple, and how I got the purple was by mixing some of the blue and some of the red, and depending on what shade you want, you either can darken the purple with the blue or you can lighten the purple with red. And of course you can do so by adding a little bit of white as well. So I'm going to use a tray to help me prevent the bead from rolling around, and I'm going to have the holes of the bead at the side. You don't want to get too much paint in the hole because it'll make it a little bit harder to string later. So I'm just going to hold it, and you can either do smooth strokes like this, or to add a little bit of texture, you can kind of dab the paint on like that. And this paint is washable, it's safe, and so don't be afraid to get your fingers a little bit dirty. So I'm just going to paint one side of it for now and let it dry, or at least start to dry. And then on this bead here, I'm going to do something a little bit different. And again, this is a project where you can get as creative as you want and do whatever design you want. I really like how white looks on wood, and I love African art and fashion, and I often see this kind of design on wood as well. So instead of using the tray, I'm just going to hold it so I can get up close. And again, what you want to do to get finer lines is use the corner of the brush. So I'm just using the corner of the brush to add kind of zigzag design here. And I would do that around the whole bead. Then I also want to add a couple of dots like that. Okay, and then I can let that dry as well. And I'll let that dry. And again, you can do whatever patterns you want. You might even do just something really simple, just a small circle. I mean, sometimes simple designs are a lot bolder and stand out a lot more than doing something really complicated. So you can be as simple or as intricate as you want with making the designs on these beads. It would probably be easier to go light with the amount of paint that you're using on the beads, just so it can dry a little bit faster, because the polished beads aren't going to be as absorbent as, say, paper or canvas. So if you paint lighter, the paint will dry a little bit faster and just add layers. Okay. So after you're done painting all your designs, you're going to take the bead, and I'm going to let these dry, but you would be adding those painted beads as well. So the holes in these beads are pretty large, so they should be really easy to string. And if it makes anything easier for you, you can either add a weight at one end where maybe you can tape down one end. That way the beads don't go rolling off the other side of the string. And you just bead them like so. I'm gonna do 6 here. But again, you might have to adjust based on the size of your wrist. Actually, let me do 7. And then this part, it might be easy if you have an adult, but if you don't, or you don't have someone around to help you, you can kind of measure where the bracelet would stop, and you see how there's still space. So in that case, you would add one more bead just to make sure it looks full when it's on your wrist. Measure it again. Make sure you have enough space to where it's comfortable to take the bracelet on and off before you tie it, right? And then what you can also do, if it makes it easier for you to remember, is kind of mark where you want it to be tied. So you should have a lot of room to kind of tie it, and you see that little white mark there that I made, so I remember where I want it. And then you tie it like so. See the little white mark still? It's right there. And you just want to make sure it's a really tight knot without, of course, making the bracelet too small. So what you want to do is use your finger like so to prevent the bracelet from getting any smaller, and then tie it like so. Now you can pull that pretty tight. And then when you're done, I'm not going to do this now, but what you want to do is cut off these hanging parts so that they're not hanging like that, and then you would have your bracelet looking something like this when you're finished. And of course, your beads would be painted. Okay. And that's how you do the bracelet.